Hey Tech Gurus, welcome back as we continue our discussion on Python data types. We've gone through strings and numbers, and then we took an in-depth look at both lists and tuples, and also went through for loops and iterations, and also through if-else statements. And now we're going to get into the fun of dictionaries. And what a dictionary is it's a collection of key value pairs that allow us to do some really great manipulation in Python. So I'm going to open up our Jupyter Notebook and show you what I mean. All right, so we're in our Jupyter Notebook. I have an agenda laid out here for us to keep us on par. And dictionaries are really powerful. So let me explain exactly what is a key value pair. So when we talked about lists, you can make a list of essentially anything you wanted in a sequential order, and you could go and you could call out any part of that list that you needed later in your code. Well, a dictionary is going to allow you to assign a key and a value, and I'm going to give you an example. Let's say we make a new variable called dog, and then in curly brackets, I'm going to create a property or a key with a colon and then its value. So for example, a dog has a color. So let's give it a color property, and let's make the color property black. Okay, so we have a dog. Essentially we have a variable dog that's black. Okay, that's its color. All right, well that's a simple example, but you can have as many properties as you want in the dictionary. So you could say dog, and we could say, all right, its color is black, just like above. Make sure that, because they're strings, they need to be in quotes. And then with a comma, you can create a new property. So let's say also we have a breed for the dogs. So the breed is lab. It's a Labrador. All right, so in this case now, the variable is a black lab. All right, so let's keep that one. This would be a good one for us to see how to use this dictionary later on, this dog dictionary. So how do we access values from this dictionary we just created? Very, very easily. All you have to do is we're going to print, and inside print, we're going to print dog. And now in square brackets, we're going to call the property. So if I do that and I call color and hit Control Enter, I need to call Control Enter up here first so the variable gets stored, and then hit Control Enter down here. You see that it prints black. Same thing happens if I print the breed. You'll see that it prints lab. All right, so moving on. How do we add new key value pairs to our variable dog? All right, very easily again. Just like we were accessing values, we can say dog, we could say age, all right, equals, and this dog is 2 years old. We hit enter. So now if I was to print dog, you'll see here is our new dictionary. We have a dog that's black, its breed is a lab, and we've added age to that dictionary very, very easily, right? And modifying values is exactly like adding values. If we wanted to change, oh, this dog's actually 3, it's not 2, all we do is we say, hey, no, the dog age is actually 3. And if I do that, then print dog. There you go. You'll see that now the age of the dog is 3. So very, very easy. All right, well, what if we decide, hey, we don't actually need the age in this dictionary. Let's get the dog's age out of that dictionary. Again, very easy. Just call the delete command, del, call dog and the property. In this case, it's age. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to print dog again. Now you'll see that that age component or property and value or key value has been removed from the dictionary. Great. All right, so let's go a little further into this now and talk about creating a dictionary of similar objects. So maybe what we have is we take a poll online and we say, hey, what's your favorite type of dog? Okay, so, and we're collecting poll results. All right, Well, we might have an object that looks more like something like this, with lots of different key value pairs. We're going to have a name and what they chose as their poll result, some type of breed of dog. So maybe this is John, and John's favorite breed is a poodle. And we'll just do this. All right. And then we also got Karen. Her favorite is, she likes labs. All right. And then we got Hector. He answered the poll, and he said that his favorite dog is a boxer. I love boxers, actually. And then lastly, we also had Rick. He responded to the poll, and he likes to get those pugs. All right, so we have now this simple dictionary of similar objects. We have names of people and their favorite breeds of dogs. So this is kind of the results of our poll. So let's assign this to a variable called poll results. Okay. Oh, okay. So, for example, if I now come down here and I print poll results, there we go. We get our simple dictionary back, right? So you could get a little more technical with this. You could say something like, you know, John's favorite breed is, you know, and then you could say poll results John, right? And that's going to get John's favorite breed. Whoops. And there we go. John's favorite breed is poodle. Okay. So that you can start to kind of see how we can later call the specific property or key that we're looking for. Now, what is this get method? Using the get method to access a value. Well, what happens if you're calling in a dictionary a property or key that does not exist? For example, let me print dog first. Show you what's there. All right, color and breed. Remember we had age, right? So what if I was to try to print dog age? Well, it shoots an ugly error at us saying, hey, it's not here. There's a key error. And it says, hey, look, use the get method to access values. Let's see what happens if we do that. So I'm going to use dog.get, and then let's call the key. We are going to call age, and then we need to give it a default value if age is not found. So no age available, for example. That way, if we call a key that does not exist, we won't get an error. Instead, we'll get a default return of something else. Now, you know, maybe this example doesn't make a lot of sense right now, because obviously, why would you type this whole thing out? But if you're looping through thousands of keys, and there might be one or two keys in there, or one or two dictionaries that don't have those specific keys that you're looping through, instead of getting these constant errors over and over, you can have these default values shoot out and say, hey, no, this property is not available instead. And then that doesn't stop your for loops from executing correctly. So the get is an excellent way to avoid those errors from happening. All right. So what about if we just want to loop through all key value pairs? Okay. So let's do for, and you can do key value as an example. So key value in poll results, and you need to use the items method. Okay. Then print the key is, let me just do this, key, and print the value is value. All right, so the key is John, the value is poodle, the key is Karen, the value is lab. And even to make this more readable, you could do /n here, and that actually is going to separate it out. So we have John, Karen, Hector, and the value. Now, This does not have to be key value. This is an example of getting the key and the value. This can be anything you want. So this could be name and breed. Okay, and that makes more sense, right? Because you can say the name and the breed is, this makes your code more readable, and that's what's really important. The name is John, the breed is Poodle, the name. So this isn't set in stone on what you can't use for terminology. You can use anything you want. Just know that when you're using a for loop with an items modifier, it's taking this is the key and this is the value. And then make sure to use the correct syntax later on in your code. Well, what if you want to loop just through keys? All right, very easy. You can say for anything you want. So we'll say name in poll results dot keys, then print name. All right, I'm gonna comment this out so this doesn't confuse us. All right, there it goes. It's just doing a really quick rotation through the keys. John, Karen, Hector, Rick. It's not even concerned about the values at this point. It's just going from one key to the other in the dictionary. Same thing for values. Okay. For breed in poll results dot values. Print breed. Now, because you're indicating it with the values modifier, it knows to look instead at the values. So again, a little bit of confusion here because I need to comment that out. There we go. Poodle, lab, boxer, pug. So this time, it's ignoring the keys entirely, and it's just concentrating on looping through the values of the dictionary. So that's how you loop through keys, values, and both. All right, what about looping in sorted order? Okay, we talked about sorted order with lists. Sorted order creates a temporary sorted order, not permanent, but temporary. And you'll find various reasons to use this, especially when trying to order things numerically from bottom to top. Maybe you're trying to put the highest values on top and the lower values below because you're using maybe a bar graph, whatever. But sorted orders allow you to temporarily do that. So, all right, to get sorted order, just like we did in list, very simple. You wrap what you're trying to sort within a sorted function. So in this case, we're going to be sorting poll results, and let's do the keys. Okay, so that sorts Hector, John, Karen, and Rick in alphabetical order. Notice that when you're using keys, you actually don't even have to type keys. You can just say sorting poll results, and it returns the exact same thing. Now, if we want the values of breed, then sorted poll results values. And there we go. We get boxer, lab, pugs, and poodle. Now, notice something interesting here. Poodle is coming after pugs. Why is that? Well, there's some case sensitivity that occurs while using this sorted function. And the way to overcome this is to use a key. And in this case, we'd use a key equals string dot lower. And that essentially, when it decides to do the sorting, it will sort everything in lowercase. So that's just something to keep in mind. You know, it's just one of those things. So keep that in mind when you're using the sorted function. All right. Nested dictionaries. What is a nested dictionary? Well, a dictionary can be, you can have essentially a list of dictionaries. You can have lists in dictionaries, and you can have dictionaries in dictionaries. And let's take a really quick look at each of those. All right, so what about a list of dictionaries? Well, what we could do is we might have a user list, okay? And in this user list, we are gonna have a list. Remember a list, and it's separated by commas. But what you could actually have a list of is a list of dictionaries like this. Okay, and what I mean by that is we could say, okay, how about we have a username property. This guy's username is John, and a password property. And his password is Cuddles. Don't ask me. Don't ask me about it. All right. And then we need the same for the remaining ones as well. So I'm going to, just for ease of use, I'm going to copy and paste. Okay. And we'll change, this is the second dictionary. We'll call this one, this is Bill. His password is Care Bear. And this is Susan. And her password is, I don't know. Maybe the lab is her password. Okay. So now you'll see we have a list of dictionaries. We have 3 dictionaries. So what's interesting with this is that, remember we talked about indexes in a list? So we still have indexes happening here. We have a variable called user list, and user list 0 is this dictionary, and user list 1 is this dictionary, and user list 2 is this dictionary. Okay? And you're going to see this a lot when you get into things like data analysis. A lot of the data analysis, like every single row or record might be a dictionary row. Okay, and then you're going to have a lot of them. So if you have 1,000 rows of data, you'll have 1,000 rows of dictionaries, essentially. Okay, so how do we call one of these? Well, let's quickly do a print user list so I can show you. So we're going to print user list out. All right. Remember, if you see the square brackets, you know that we're talking about a list. And then inside, we can see that we have 3 dictionaries. All right, well, that's not super helpful. We can still do things like, all right, well, if we use what's the length of the list. Okay, that's helpful. We can see that there's 3 items or 3 objects or 3 dictionaries. Okay, well, what if we wanted to get, again, we can do things like this, like we can say user list 0, and that's going to give us the first dictionary. All right, that's getting us closer. So what if we did user list 0 with username? All right, that's getting us somewhere. Now we actually peeked into the first dictionary, got the first property here, and pulled out a value. So we moved all the way inside of the list to the first dictionary, which is 0, and then called the username property and returned John. So you can kind of start to see how this is going to work when you start looping through these, right? So we're going to leave that where it is for now, but we are going to come back to that. All right, so what about a list in a dictionary? Well, you might have something like this. Let's say that we have a user dictionary, just like we had up here. So they have a username and a password, and I'm going to add one more property, and this is going to be called favorite sites. So these are kind of the favorite websites that they like to visit. Maybe we're kind of like a Reddit type website where we're just kind of storing their favorite sites for them for easy access. What we can do here now is add a new list. So you'll see that this is a key to a dictionary, but the value is going to be a list. So it could be something like, hey, google.com, and they like to go to yahoo.com for some reason still, and they like to go to TechCrunch. I don't know. They like to go get their tech news from there. What else? Whatever. Okay. So here we have a list. This would be a list like any other list if it was pulled out of the dictionary. We would call it the same way. But now we have a list that belongs to a property inside of a dictionary. So what if we wanted to pull the first favorite site for John? Well, we would do this. We would print user, okay? And then if you remember, we got to print now the property name, which in this case is right here, favorite sites. And then to pull the first one, we need to pull index 0, right? And you'll see it pulls out google.com. So it does work. Again, if we didn't put this 0 in, it would pull out the whole list. So there's our whole list right here, because we're pulling the favorite sites property. So I hope that makes sense. So that's showing how you can embed lists inside of dictionaries. Now, what about a dictionary in a dictionary? Okay, I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. But essentially, this might look something like this. Going back to, we have a user list. Okay? Each user in the user list is its own user ID, and that's the key of the user properties. Let me show you what I mean by that. So maybe first we have, this is user BR4473, okay? And this contains now values of name is Brandon and age is 34. Favorite food is pizza. All right. This needs to be in quotes. H. All right. We just built a dictionary object for this property of this username, essentially. Okay. And I can keep doing this. So I can say, all right, that's BR443. This is SU443. These are just trivial, arbitrary, just usernames I made up or user IDs. So this one, I'm going to copy and paste this to save us time. All right, so here we have Susan, age 39. Her favorite food is hamburgers. Right? Okay, so now we have this user list with two different objects or two different dictionaries inside of a dictionary. So what you can do now is print user list. I'm gonna comment these out so they don't happen. Okay. All right, no surprise there. That prints the entire dictionary and the dictionaries inside. Okay. Well, now let's print the user list for this specific user ID. All right, now we're pulling the properties just for that specific user ID. And then you can always even go one step further and say, no, we need the name of that user. And there you go. So we have user BR443's name, which is Brandon. So that gives you an example of how you can use dictionaries inside of dictionaries, and I hope that's helpful. All right, guys, that concludes our lesson on dictionaries. They're super powerful, very useful. You're going to be using them all the time. So join us in our next lesson where we're going to do a quick breakdown of Python while loops. I'll see you there.